It's been the
Important.
craziest story, right? So we need to give it some time. But thoughts on Rapinoe laughing after she missed the penalty?
Oh my gosh, I thought so many people freaked out about that. And I think from her perspective, I was trying to put myself maybe into an athlete's into perspective, into her position, and being like, I think she knew it was a flub. She knew she messed up. It was the height of the moment, and was kind of like, oh, I think she mentioned afterwards, like, it was, of course, it was a quote, like a sick joke. That was her leaving her international career. Of course, haha, she missed it. And I think her emotions came out in this frustration that she had in a smiling way. And like my brother does that whenever something's horrible or awkward, he kind of like laughs or makes a joke about it. So I think a lot of people thought she was laughing like it wasn't serious, but I'm like, no, she knows that was a turning point. So yeah,
I agree. I think people handle situations differently. Anger, frustration, grief. We all can't expect someone to be crying and angry and handle it the way we necessarily would, right? Because everyone's different. But what I will say, as a 38-year-old leader on this team, if you miss a penalty like that in a situation where I believe she could have won it for the entire team, I think the last thing she should do as a leader is kind of laugh. Like, I think it needs to be like, that's on me. I take accountability, but let's regroup and kind of power everybody up. Like, that should have been her role at this Women's World Cup. She's not going to be the same player as she was 4 years ago or 8 years ago. But if you're on this team, and I say the same thing about a Christine Sinclair, and I say the same thing about a Marta, you're there for the experience. You're there for your legendary status. You're there to be a leader for these young women that are now on the team. And I would expect my leader and a 38-year-old woman, if that happened, to kind of find a way to get us past a hurdle now that could affect us and not bring us into the quarterfinals. And I wasn't a big fan of her laughing. And maybe if it was even her initial reaction, and then she kind of cleaned it up by the time she got to the group, but she just like kind of kept it going. And even saying it was like a sick joke, I don't know. I for me personally, I felt like it was kind of an immature response. I'm like, your team that was supposed to win it, that was supposed to be, a three-peat, have a little bit more of like a deep response, a little bit more of like an emotional response. But again, that's just me personally. I don't know, Rapinoe. That could be her personality. And that's not for me to judge, right? Like, who am I to judge her? I'm just saying from what I would expect, and maybe, like if I were on that team, maybe what I would expect from a leader, I would hope that would kind of go a little differently. But
I mean, it was a very deep, intense moment. I just can't imagine, again, maybe that's how she deals with the pressure in the moment. But I just couldn't imagine not being like, oh my God, we're going to lose.
Like everybody else when they missed the penalty. Everyone was like in shambles.
I would be bawling. I would immediately start crying. And that's me because I'm an emotional person.
Yeah.
But, oh my God. Yeah. Anyway.